happened?
Get ready to learn Chinese, buddy.
What happened? What was that?
Holy.
If you are just crawling out from under a rock, haven't been on social media, didn't watch the NBA draft last night, the Portland Trail Blazers traded out of the 11th pick in the draft, which at first I was happy about.
Yeah, I think
I was like,
process-wise.
let's go. They had all three guys that had been rumored to be the top three targets on their board. Carter Bryant, Kasper Siakachonis, and Noah Esenge. All three of those guys were still on the board when the Blazers traded the 11th pick to the Memphis Grizzlies. Okay? Now, they did that with the understanding of who Memphis wanted because officially Cedric, don't call me Colin Coward, was the draft pick that Portland submitted on Memphis's behalf, right? So they knew, though, that three guys that they had very high on their boards or we all knew, not them. We all knew that three guys that had been rumored to be very high on the board were still available, and there were only 5 spots in between 11 and 16. You can do the math on looking at what teams needed that were in that range, and you were like, well, yeah, one of those guys is going to be there, and if they like all of them equally, let the other teams do the hard part, and they're going to get one guy that they coveted.
Yeah, when those three guys were there, I literally tweeted out, all three are there, start taking calls.
Wrong!
Because you knew that at guaranteed, damn near, Oklahoma City was taking a big. I've had Sorber mock there for a month.
Oklahoma City and Atlanta, everybody was very confident we're going to be taking somebody large.
Yeah, and the Hawks did consider Asa Newell at 13 before trading back. And that's anytime you trade back, this is always the worry of, our board is falling this way, but we also know there are multiple teams in here that might trade. And this, when the Blazers made the trade, that's when the trade started happening.
Yep.
And you went, okay, here we go.
All right. Well, here's what happened. The Blazers took Yang Hansen. Shout-outs to a texter yesterday, and this is amazing. He went from being known as Hansen Yang to Yang Hansen.
Yeah, you go surname first.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how
that happened over the course of 24 hours. Shout-outs to the texter who, although he said, hey, what about Hansen Yang at 11? Shout-outs to whomever that was that text that in. I'm going to golf clap you right now. I'm going to golf clap you right now.
Everybody I talked to had him going very early in the second round. That's where he was mocked, except for one guy who we will have on the show here at 12:30, and Ralph Barlow.
Ralph Barlow.
He had Young at 27.
He can join us at 12:30.
Bang bang Yanger gang.
Dude, I am all in for the Yang gang. You know what? We got to get a shirt in the merch store.
Young and handsome.
We are going to do Yang gang shirts.
Oh yeah,
in the merch store. Done. I love it. But this was it was a surprise to literally everybody that the Blazers had him at 16.
They had this on lock and key. Nobody outside that room knew. No one. I had 3 different front offices tell me going into the draft yesterday that they were operating as if the Blazers were going to take Gasparis.
Yeah.
That's a major factor in why I was saying that that's probably the way they're going to go.
He went to the Miami Heat at 20, so
and
that's going to be fun.
He had a pretty significant fall.
That's a big fall.
Yeah.
That is a big fall. And we talked about this yesterday, and you said, when you said confidence issue, I said, ooh, whoa, that's a red flag. When you have a confidence issue in college, the NBA is not going to get easier on you.
Yeah. Everybody I talked to, some version of, whether it's workouts, interviews, processes, or whatever, he was never the best guy. He came in second.
We just started this show sportsy. It will be sportsy throughout. I promise it will not be through the entirety of the show. It won't be the entire.
Yeah,
one.
this is the
big
biggest
though.
Draft surprise in probably my lifetime.
Well, all right. Let's get to what we need to get to as far as what this draft pick means.
Mhm.
The roster does not make a whole lot of sense now.
No.
They have
No,
five
five
centers. Okay.
And they have 3 absolutely legit 7-footers.
But in also having the center position, we talked about this yesterday in that it's not like the backcourt is really shored up either.
Mhm.
It's very confusing there. You now have, and we've talked about this is another big one, is that one thing Joe Cronin really wanted to do was create timelines that make sense.
Mhm.
The timeline doesn't make sense now because you have a 5th center that is a project by almost every account.
Mhm.
Even if at the highest, it's a project because you are bringing a guy who, happy birthday, Yang Hansen, by the way.
Just turned 20.
Birthday buddies with Ariana Grande,
Mhm.
Mike McDonald of the Seattle Seahawks head coach, and woulda, shoulda, coulda been Portland Trailblazer great, Darren Williams.
Or how about actual Trailblazer great, Dwap Reith? They have the same birthday.
Yeah, today's Reed's
And you know, it's
birthday
funny.
too.
Happy birthday, Duop Reith. For your birthday, the Blazers got another center.
What's actually really interesting is Watt played for King Dao.
Yeah, the same team.
Same
huh?
exact team. in
All right.
China.
Okay, but now timeline. You just traded for a 37-year-old
35.
or 35-year-old guard who's going to be here till he's 37.
Probably.
In Drew Holiday.
Mhm.
And in doing that, you got rid of a 26-year-old, and everybody's kind of like, well, I mean, Chauncey told us at the end, like, playoffs are the goal next year, right? And then last night, Joe Cronin said, I don't know about that.
Yeah. And this is what I've kind of tried to say is that this, like, the Drew move was not an all-in move. It was we think he's a good player, so we're going to get a good player in for the guy that we're sending out.
And we talked about this yesterday, and it bears repeating. They needed leadership. They got leadership there.
They prioritize.
Okay.
Agree, disagree, whatever you want to do, whether it's Drew, Young, whatever, they're doing the thing that they want to do, and they're like this. They're letting the freak flag fly.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is either going to work or it's going to crater.
Now,
I don't think there's a lot of room for the in between.
But that was a big gripe that both of us had under Neil Olshey.
Not taking risks.
Well, is timeline.
I have 2 words.
is
Zach
timeline.
Collins.
But that was, oh boy. That was trading up though.
Was
Yes,
That was
taking
they traded
risk.
up. Well,
Taking a risk.
They traded down.
Yeah,
for
I
this one.
understand. Still risk.
But the risk part of it, I will say, I've said, put them on the table, do something bold. This was it. And then this is another big thing that we need to talk about today, is that one of 2 things just happened with the Portland Trailblazers. Joe Cronin and Mike Schmitz in their entire scouting department is insanely good at evaluating talent and developing talent and bringing them in. And they said, we are going to trust this, and they're going to hit a home run, and they put their on the table, and they said, let's go. The other option is they are high on their own supply, and this is going to backfire, and it will be a horrific pick. And history will not be kind to Joe Cronin, Mike Schmitz, and the Trailblazer scouting staff.
If it goes sideways, it's not Darko and Joe Dumars because Melo's there. Look, if the one is if Cedric Howard turns into an absolute monster.
Yeah.
If he's an absolute monster and Young isn't the guy, then it's like, oof.
But we also
or what about
people
Carter
are,
Bryant?
well,
Or...
that's the thing.
Yeah.
People are going to go to Carter Bryant, Yakachunas,
Yes.
also Noah Senge. Right? Carter Bryant's going to be good. He went to San Antonio. He's going to be good.
Somebody texted me, the front office guy, during when Carter went to San Antonio. They can't keep getting away with
But
this.
that is, but that's also something that we talk about. Is fit is incredibly important. Fit is so important. Okay, so that needs to be. We need to dive into that today. It's I mean there's a lot, and then also we need to get into who is Yang Hansen. Why did they fall in love with him? What can we expect? And what does it mean for the center they draft? We talk about Duop Reith. It's his birthday. Happy birthday. Here's another center. What about the guy they drafted last year?
And then we talked about this yesterday. If they took Kasparis, what does that say
For Scoot?
Now it becomes, what does that say about Donovan? I didn't talk about that, but I did have a conversation with Mike Schmitz this morning. I'll share a little bit of that, but I'll be writing on it tonight.
All right.
Just kind of getting some background and what their hopes are, what they've seen from him, why they went down this path. And the question I asked him was, what gave you guys the conviction to do this?
All right.
So I'll share some of that before I write it up tonight.